What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I wanted to talk about something that I thought was an insane article that I read. Obviously, everyone's been talking about inflation and how it's been going up. The cost of literally everything is close to doubling on most things that I'm aware of over the last 2 years. Food prices are way up, and just overall, it's getting a lot more expensive to live out here. But I guess it's getting so expensive that even people would consider to be high earners are having an issue affording being alive. Amid record inflation, 36% of employees earning 100 grand or more say they are living paycheck to paycheck. And I know 100 grand is a lot of money, and I'm not saying all of the people living paycheck to paycheck are getting squeezed because of inflation. There's a lot of people that definitely should not be broke making 100 grand. But if you think about the amount of people that are probably making 100 grand in major cities, yeah, they're probably living paycheck to paycheck because those places are insanely expensive. You know, if you're living in rural Nebraska, you're gonna have no issue having yourself a fantastic life on 100 grand a year. But if you live in California, as millions and millions of people do, New York, Chicago, cities with increased costs of living, 100 grand really is not a lot of money anymore. More than a third of high-earning American workers feel strapped for cash, a share that has risen dramatically in recent years. 36% of U.S. employees with salaries of 100 grand or more are living paycheck to paycheck, and twice as many who said they were in 2019. According to a survey conducted by Willis Tower Watson, a consulting firm. I would love to see where that 36% is located. Like I said, there's a lot of places in the country where 100 grand is still a very, very nice lifestyle, super comfortable, but most major cities, you're probably starting to be priced out to the point where that is not what it used to be. I feel like when I was growing up, which, God, I'm 23 now, feeling older, 100 grand was the gold standard. Oh, he makes 100 grand a year. People would say that like it was a god amount of money. And it's a lot of money. I don't want it to get it twisted and make it seem like I'm crapping on people that make 100 grand a year. But it just doesn't feel like it would stretch as far anymore, dude. I mean, look at used car prices alone. Rents are increasing 20-30% year over year. It's getting more expensive to be alive, and it's definitely not the upper middle class threshold like it used to be, especially if you're in a city. If you're living in New York City, I would say 100 grand is probably barely enough to be comfortable on for a year. Especially in the places that have higher tax rates, dude. That 100 grand is really not 100 grand after the federal and state governments take their cut. That's more than 34% of workers who earn 50 to 100 grand a year that are living paycheck to paycheck, though lower than 52% of paycheck to paycheck workers with incomes of less than 50 grand, according to the survey. However, the high earners are the only group that saw an increase in their paycheck to paycheck ranks in the last 3 years. Obviously, like I said, there's going to be irresponsible people in this group that are now living paycheck to paycheck, but I don't think you can judge the entire situation based on outliers. Yeah, are there probably people making 100 grand with a budget of I spend $1,000 on rent and $9,000 on Dungeons and Dragons characters. Why can't I afford any food? All right, those people do exist, but I'm going to assume a majority of this, as they said, has come in the last 3 years, which is all this inflation and cost of living increases started. I mean, think about it. If something doubles in price, one thing, it's kind of a situation of crap, but if you have wiggle room, you can afford it. But if everything just goes up 50%, now it starts to be a situation of wow, this is just really inconvenient affording anything. And as for why it's bad to live paycheck to paycheck, some people are yeah, you work, you get your paycheck, and you work till you get your next one. It's yeah, but that lack of security certainly isn't dope to be okay, I just hope that I don't get sick. I hope that nothing happens that makes me not able to work, because if I can't, I'm screwed. Employees at higher levels aren't immune to living paycheck to paycheck. Mark Smirek, the financial well-being market leader for North America at Willis Tower Watson. Willis Tower Watson polled 9,658 full-time employees from large and mid-sized private employers in December and January 2022 before the most recent inflation readings. I would love to see what it is after the most recent readings. I feel like inflation, even the way the government's saying it, just is not being computed correctly. I've seen a lot of stuff that it says real inflation's probably somewhere around 20%, but the government is saying 7-8%, which is still the highest levels we've seen since the 70s. Like, inflation is just out here eating dollar bills, y'all. And what sucks is there's really not much you can do about it as the average person. And in fact, it's going to be very hard for the government to do anything about it, because it seems like, and I'm not a financial expert or anything, this is my opinion, I'm a moron talking over a Valorant gameplay, so take it with a grain of salt. I think a lot of this is because we printed so much money. Basically half of all dollars that we've ever printed has been within the last 3 years. When you add that much money to the money supply, inflation's gonna start. And I think we're seeing the results of it now. It takes a little bit to work its way through the economy, but I think because it seems like inflation is happening across the board, I think it has something to do with the Federal Reserve printing money like crazy, on top of COVID, on top of shortages, on top of everything else. It's just the ultimate wombo combo to kick your economy in the shins. Inflation may push more to live paycheck to paycheck. Quickly rising food costs, transportation, and other areas of household budgets may put further stress on families' ability to save money. The Consumer Price Index was up 8.6% in May from a year earlier, which was the highest inflation reading in about 40 years. The Federal Reserve raised its benchmark interest rates by 0.75% on Wednesday, the largest increase since 1994 as part of ongoing efforts to rein in consumer costs. These numbers are likely to increase if we see these reflation results continue, he said of people living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, inflation is like a boa constrictor on the economy, and it's just going to keep squeezing it tighter and tighter, and as it gets squeezed, it's obviously going to put more and more people below that threshold of like living comfortably and not having to stress about it. Paycheck to paycheck definitely is a very scary thing that many people are living like that, and on top of it, the fact that it's starting to increase so quickly amongst people that are making pretty good money is, in my opinion, not a very good sign of what's going to come. Inflation's been going wild. Nothing is showing that it's going to miraculously slow down somehow. And even if they do miraculously slow it down, most of the ways that you can slow down inflation involve slamming the brakes on the economy. And that's not going to do great, because then there's just not going to be as many people making $100,000. So, I'm not trying to be a doomer. There's people a lot smarter than me trying to figure it out. But from where I'm sitting, we're kind of in a bad spot for the next couple years. And I hope I'm an idiot. I hope that I look back on this video and I'm like, oh my gosh, you were so scared about that. They got it under control in like 6 months. What a little weenie. I hope that's the case. I'm just saying the economy's looking like everything's teetering on the brink. Everything, the stock market's collapsed, crypto's collapsed. They're increasing the rates to be able to borrow for real estate, which should slow that down a bit. You look at the job market. I don't know, man. The entire situation is just getting a little bit frightening, on top of everything just costing more because of inflation. And like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I just wanted to talk about this because I found it interesting. That's what we do on this channel, is talk about what I want to talk about. So, yeah, anyways, I think that'll do it for the video. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments section down below. And, of course, subscribe if you're new. I post 2 videos every day, so if you like videos where I talk about stuff, then subscribe. If you don't, then, hey, whatever, man. Whatever floats your boat. Have a good day. But, yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.